Have you ever felt your whole body tense the moment criticism hits you? A harsh email from your manager, a joke at your expense in a meeting, a cutting comment under your post. Your face gets warm, your chest tightens, your mind races ahead, trying to defend itself. If that feels familiar, you're not alone. Criticism doesn't control your reaction, you do. If you could stay calm under criticism, what would change? Imagine hearing hard feedback, feeling the sting, and still having enough space inside to choose your words. Imagine slowing down instead of snapping back. Ending the day with a steady heartbeat instead of a storm in your head. This isn't about becoming numb, but about staying clear while you still care. We're talking about emotional control in the Stoic sense. In Stoic practice, this path is about training yourself, not the world. Memento Mori reminds us, your life, your time, your attention are finite. With a life this short, not every comment deserves hours of your energy. In this video, we'll explore 6 lessons on moving from impulsive reaction to deliberate response when you're criticized, so you can stay calmer, protect your energy, and earn deeper respect with the people who matter. And to avoid misunderstanding, this is important. You're not here to tolerate abuse or swallow every unfair word. It's not about pretending you don't feel anything, but about not letting emotion drive every action. Not about letting others walk over you, but about keeping your center when they try. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all wrestled with judgment and insult, just like we do. They left us simple practices, not just big ideas. When this part ends, you'll have a clear 6-step sequence you can rehearse now and run in real time the next time criticism hits. So, take one slow breath, and let's begin. Lesson 1. Pause 3 breaths. We start with the smallest possible change. A pause. You're at your desk, finally in a bit of focus. The room is quiet, the light from your screen is soft, you feel almost peaceful. Then, a notification pops up. Your manager has replied to your update. The first sentence stings. Words like disappointed or not good enough jump out at you. Tension rises in your shoulders. Your jaw tightens. Your fingers move toward the keyboard on their own. Inside, a voice says, I need to defend myself right now. But the truth is simple. Your next 3 breaths can shape your next 3 hours. It's not that the email is harmless. It's that your reaction decides how much damage it'll do. Not just the line in their message, but the speed of your reply will decide how your night goes. Your reaction can either leak energy or hold it. From this small turning point, let's shift the angle. Think of those first 3 breaths as a tiny waiting room for your mind. The email still exists. The words still sting. But for 3 breaths, they don't own your hands. You're not pretending the criticism is fine. You're simply creating a thin layer of space between the words and your answer. Not running away from the issue, but stepping 1 step back to see it clearly, because when your body slows down first, your mind can join it. As Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That line is the core of this pause. Picture 2 small scenes. In the first, you read, react, and fire back within seconds. In the second, you read, pause 3 breaths, and only then touch the keyboard. The problem is the same. The outcome is very different. In that pause, you move from I must fight to I can choose. You choose 3 breaths instead of 3 pages of regret. A quiet pause isn't weakness. It's your first act of strength. So imagine a specific situation. The email lands. Your body flares up. Old habit says, prove them wrong right now. A different choice says, inhale Exhale. Stay still for 3 breaths. You notice your chest, your throat, your racing thoughts. You ask yourself, what actually needs to be answered here? The moment you do that, the fire cools just a little. You see that not every sentence needs a reply. You notice which part is real feedback and which part is just tone. This approach works because your nervous system needs time to reset. Not suppressing emotion, but letting the first wave pass before you move. You accept that feeling triggered is natural, and still claim the right to act only after your body has come down one level. Here's a simple way to practice it in daily life. Start by noticing the first physical signal when you feel criticized. Hot face, tight chest, shallow breath. Then let your attention sit on the air going in and out 3 times, as if you're counting small waves. After that, move your hands only when your breath feels even again. When you do this often, you build a new default. You become the person who doesn't rush into replies. You become the colleague whose calm feels steady, not fake. You become someone who owns the first seconds after impact. Next time criticism hits, remember, 3 small breaths can carry you through the first big wave. Lesson 2. Name the feeling. Now that you can pause, we move to the next layer. Clarity. You sit in a performance review at work. The room is quiet except for the hum of the air conditioner. Your manager looks at their notes and starts talking about your areas to improve. A comment lands harder than you expected. Maybe they say you're not visible enough or too sensitive in meetings. Immediately, your stomach drops. Your throat tightens. Inside, a thought appears. Maybe I'm just not good enough. The shame mixes with anger and confusion. The mind becomes heavy and cloudy at the same time. But the truth is this. Unnamed feelings tend to run your reactions. When you don't really see what you feel, that feeling grabs the wheel. Not the feedback itself, but the confused storm inside pushes you to react. At the end of the day, your inner weather matters more than their words. From here, we can gently widen the view. Imagine you're holding a tangled ball of cables. It looks like one big knot, but inside are many separate lines. Your emotions are like that under criticism. You might be feeling hurt, fear of losing status, old memories of being judged. They all blend into one overwhelming charge. Naming separates them. Not denying the emotion, but saying clearly, this is shame, this is fear, this is anger. Because once you name it, you're no longer fully inside it. Epictetus reminds us where the real power lies. It isn't what happens to you, but the way you respond that truly matters. Naming is the first step in choosing that reaction. So picture 2 tiny scenes. In the first, you hear too sensitive, feel a hot wave, and shut down. In the second, you hear the same words, pause, and quietly say inside, I feel embarrassed and defensive right now. In the second scene, the feeling is still there. But you're also there, observing it. You're choosing awareness instead of automatic defense. That awareness is your quiet shield. Let's drop into a very concrete moment. You read a harsh comment online. Your heart jumps. Your body wants to type back something sharp. You stop and ask, what exactly am I feeling in my body? You might notice a tight jaw and a sinking in your stomach. You might see the story, they think I'm stupid. You then say silently, this is hurt and fear speaking. That sentence moves you from I'm hurt to I notice hurt. From there, reactions become options, not destiny. This practice works because the brain calms when it labels. Not erasing emotion, but putting a simple name on it to reduce its grip. You normalize having feelings under criticism. and still remind yourself that behavior isn't forced by them. So, in daily life, use a tiny routine. First, pause 3 breaths. Then, silently speak 3 short phrases. In my body I feel. In my chest I feel. In my thoughts I hear. Finally, choose 1 or 2 words that fit. Sad, angry, afraid, ashamed. Over time, this becomes natural. You stop being surprised by your own reactions. You start seeing patterns instead of chaos. You become someone who can stay with discomfort without exploding. Next time criticism comes, remember, if you can name the feeling, you've already softened its hold. Lesson 3. 1 clean line. Once you can pause and name, we turn to your reply. You're in a meeting, sharing your work. Slides are on the screen. People are half watching, half checking their phones. Then a senior colleague says, "This still feels messy. Did you really think this through?" The room goes a little quiet. You feel everyone's eyes on you. Inside, 10 different justifications jump forward, sentences like, "You gave me no time," or, "At least I tried." Fight to get out. You want to speak all of them at once. You want to defend every detail, but the truth is, long defenses usually make you feel weaker, not stronger. It's not the criticism that drains your power, but the scattered reply that follows. Not the 1 sharp sentence they said, but the 20 anxious sentences you add. Your reaction can either leak energy or hold it. So we shift the focus to something simpler. Think of your response as 1 clean line you place on the table. Just 1. The line doesn't need to fix everything. It just needs to be clear, honest, and grounded. You might say, "Thank you. I can see parts that need tightening. I'll refine this section for tomorrow." You might say, "I understand your concern. Can we clarify what clear enough means here?" Not a speech, but a single line that anchors you. Not trying to win, but trying to stay aligned with your values, Marcus Aurelius wrote. If an action or utterance is appropriate, then it's appropriate for you. If it's right to say something simple and steady, that's enough. Imagine 2 situations. In the first, you throw out a long explanation, your voice speeding up, losing track mid-sentence. In the second, you breathe. Choose 1 sentence, deliver it slowly, and then stop. In the second, you leave less room for regret. You also show others that you don't panic under pressure. Now picture a very ordinary moment. A friend says, "You never listened to me," in a frustrated tone. Your instinct is to list 10 times you did listen. Instead, you pause, feel the sting, and say 1 line. "I hear that you feel ignored, and I want to understand that better." 1 clean line doesn't mean you agree with everything. It means you choose clarity over noise. This works because humans trust calm, simple statements more than rushed speeches. Not swallowing your truth, but serving it in a form that can be heard. You keep your respect for yourself, and at the same time make it easier for others to stay in dialogue with you. To practice, you can build a small habit. When you feel criticized, first pause and name the feeling. Then ask yourself, if I had to answer in 1 short sentence, what would matter most? Speak that sentence, then stay quiet and breathe. Over time, this becomes your new default. You become the person known for clear, steady replies. You discover that you don't need 10 sentences to stand your ground. 1 clean line, chosen with care, is often enough. Next time a comment cuts deep, let your answer be shorter, cleaner, and more aligned with who you want to be. Lesson 4. Criteria. First, with your reply calmer, we move to the content of criticism itself. You're at work again, showing a project. This time someone says, "Honestly, this just isn't good." No details, no specifics. Frustration rises. You feel judged, not helped. Inside, you hear, "Good, according to what? Your mood today?" You want to fight the person instead of the problem. But the truth is, vague criticism hurts more because it leaves you in the dark. When there are no clear standards, your mind fills the gap with self-blame. Not the project itself, but the lack of criteria makes you spiral. So here, the Stoic move is to bring the focus back to what can be defined. From this point, we shift from emotion to structure. Think of criteria as a small lamp in a dark room. Without it, every shape looks threatening. With it, you can see which parts are actually off and which parts are fine. You might ask, can we make the criteria more concrete so I know what to adjust? You might say, what would good enough look like in this case? Not taking criticism as a final verdict, but as data to sort. Not arguing about whether you're good or bad, but clarifying what good means here. Epictetus put the focus where it belongs. We cannot control the external events around us, but we can control our reactions to them. Asking for criteria is a reaction you control. So imagine two everyday scenes. In one, your manager says, "Your communication is poor," and you go home replaying that vague sentence all night. In the other, you calmly ask, "Can you give me 2 examples, and what a better version would look like?" In the second, you may still feel uncomfortable, but now you have something concrete to work with. You've moved from fog to map. Let's step into a specific moment. At home, a family member says, "You never help out." You feel attacked. Your chest tightens again. Instead of saying, "That's not true," you pause. Then you say, "I hear that you feel unsupported. Can we list the tasks that would make you feel helped?" Suddenly, the conversation shifts. You're no longer arguing about your character. You're discussing dishes, cleaning, errands, things that can be shared. This approach works because clarity cools emotion, not ignoring how words make you feel, but moving the discussion towards something you can actually change. You acknowledge the hurt and still lead the conversation towards shared definitions instead of endless blame. As a practice, try this simple shift. When you hear a vague criticism, mentally translate it into a question. According to which standard? Then, out loud, invite the other person to define that standard with you. Keep your tone slow and neutral, like you're both fixing a process, not attacking a person. The more you do this, the more grounded you feel. Meetings become less like trials and more like problem-solving sessions. You become someone who brings structure where others bring heat. You learn that clarity is one of the most compassionate responses you can offer, to yourself and to others. Next time someone says, "This isn't good," let your calm question be, "What would good look like here?" Lesson 5. Slow your tone. Now that you can ask better questions, we come to how you sound. You might notice this in a simple scene. You answer a critical comment with reasonable words, but your tone is sharp, fast, and slightly higher than usual. The other person reacts to your tone more than your message. They get defensive. The conversation escalates. Inside you think, "I was just explaining." Why are they angry? The truth is, under criticism, your tone often speaks louder than your words. Even when your sentences are calm, your speed and pitch can carry hidden anger. Not the content alone, but the way you deliver it shapes the outcome. So here we bring Stoic attention to the sound of your voice. From this angle, your voice becomes another tool for emotional control. Imagine your tone as the pace of a song in the background. If it suddenly speeds up, everyone feels it. Even if they're not listening closely, if it slows down, people feel that too. Under criticism, Slowing your tone is like lowering the volume on a storm. You don't fake kindness. You simply let your words come out a little slower, a little deeper. Marcus Aurelius warned us about anger's cost. How much more harmful are the consequences of anger than the circumstances that aroused it? Your tone is often where those consequences begin. So picture two responses. In the first, you say, "I understand," but spit the words out quickly, with tightness in your throat. In the second, you say the same words more slowly, with a small pause after them, and the sentence is the same. The impact is not. Consider a real moment. A client says, "Your work didn't meet our expectations." Pressure rises. You feel the urge to rush, to fill every silence. Instead, you breathe. You let a small silence stand. Then you say, slowly, "I'm listening. Can you walk me through what felt off for you?" That one choice shifts the atmosphere. The client feels heard instead of challenged. You feel stable instead of cornered. This practice works because the body listens to the voice. When you slow down your tone, your heart often follows. Not pretending you're calm, but inviting calm in through how you speak, you give both sides a better chance of staying reasonable. So, in daily conversations, experiment with this. Notice your speed whenever you feel criticized or misunderstood. Let your next sentence be 5% slower than your usual. Let the last word of the sentence land before you start the next. Over time, this becomes part of your identity. People will describe you as steady, not cold. Firm, not harsh. You'll see that a calm tone isn't about weakness or silence. It's about carrying strength in a way others can stay present with. Next time your voice wants to race, let it walk instead. Your message will travel further that way. Lesson 6. Choose the next step. Finally, we bring everything together in one decisive act. After criticism, the mind loves to replay, rewind, and rehearse what you should have said. Hours pass. You're still in that moment, even though the moment is long gone. You think, "Why did I freeze?" Or, "Why did I overreact?" You relive the scene, but nothing changes. The truth is, calm under criticism is measured by what you choose to do next, not by whether you felt hurt, but by the small, clear step you take afterward. Not by how perfectly you spoke in the moment, but by how wisely you move forward now. So this last lesson is about choosing action instead of rumination. From everything we've covered, we can now build a simple path. Remember what Marcus Aurelius said. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your next step is where that strength appears. Picture two endings to the same day. In one, you keep replaying the comment and your heart keeps sinking. In the other, you sit down with a notebook and answer 3 questions. What was the useful part of that criticism? What is one concrete thing I can do about it? What will I let go because it's just tone or bias? In the second ending, you stand back up. The comment is still there, but it no longer owns your whole evening. Now imagine a simple scene at home. A partner tells you, "You're never really present. You're always on your phone." The conversation is painful. Voices might rise. Later, instead of only feeling guilty, you decide on one testable change. For the next week, you put your phone in another room during dinner. Then, after a few days, you ask, "Does this feel better for you?" You moved from hurt to experiment, from shame to practice. This works because action grounds emotion. Not proving the critic right or wrong, but asking, "What can I learn, and what can I leave?" You stop letting every comment define you, and start letting it refine you where it actually makes sense. To make this real, you can turn all 6 lessons into one simple sequence. When criticism hits, pause 3 breaths, name what you feel, give 1 clean line, ask for clear criteria, slow your tone, and finish by choosing 1 next step you'll actually take. As you repeat this, a new identity forms. You become someone who doesn't crumble under criticism and also doesn't close off from it. You become someone whose calm is practiced, not accidental. You live closer to the Stoic idea that your freedom sits in how you respond, not in what others say. Next time someone's words cut deep, remember, you can't control their mouth, but you can choose your next move. Staying calm under criticism isn't about never feeling pain. It's about knowing what to do with that pain. You've seen how 3 small shifts change everything. Pause before you answer, name what you feel, and choose a clear response instead of an automatic reaction. You've also seen that you can bring structure into vague criticism, and that your tone can carry quiet strength. All of this is Stoic wisdom in daily clothes. Not big speeches, but small habits you can repeat every week. Not about suppressing your emotions, but about guiding them so they don't guide you. You're not asked to be a stone. You're invited to become a person who feels deeply and still responds wisely. Not suppressing your emotions, but responding with clarity and steadiness. In the end, the event is only half the story. Your reaction writes the other half. Every time you pause, breathe, and choose, you're shaping who you're becoming. So let your own checklist be simple. Breathe before you answer. Name what you feel. Choose 1 next step you respect. Each time you do this, you move 1 small step closer to the life you want to live. You waste less of your finite days fighting in your head with voices that will never fully understand you. You keep more of your time, your attention, and your inner weather for what truly matters. If this helped, share it with someone who's hard on themselves after criticism. Tell them they're not alone in this work. And in the comments, you can share 1 situation where you want to respond, not react, next time. Thank you for spending this time caring for your inner life. This is a process, not a finish line. Until next time, take care of your breath, your thoughts, and the small, quiet choices that shape your day.